Good evening, Clement, and to our viewers. Now, the Agri-Sector Unity Forum has raised concerns about the impacts of load shedding and steep tariff hikes on the sector. This is despite promises by President Cyril Ramaphosa as far back as 2016 that power cuts would be a thing of the past. And to help me unpack that a little bit, I am joined by Pitso Sekhoto, who is ASUF's acting chair. And while we wait for Pitso to get online, the Agri-Sector Unity Forum serves under an umbrella body representing organized agriculture in South Africa. And Pitso, of course, who is the chair there, saying that they are concerned that the country won't be able to cope with the food price increases as a result of load shedding and soon increased electricity prices. We do now have Pitso Sekhoto on the line, who is ASUF's acting chair. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you very much for having me and also being to your viewers.
Let's start here, Pitso. The agricultural sector already faces its own headwinds, including intensified load shedding. Is the 18.65% electricity tariff increase approved by NERSA adding additional pressure on the industry's profit margins?
It's actually terrible. We were actually shocked to see that after all this time, we are expecting to solve the issue of this load shedding. We get now the double blow to the industry. And the industry can't cope. It can't cope. And if you check how much is agriculture put into the growth of this economy, then we are playing. If things are going to happen like this. And I don't know what is the government saying about this, because agriculture is the main source of the economy. Everything starts from agriculture. The impact that agriculture is giving growth in this country is actually very big. And I think government is not taking us very serious.
Pitso, obviously, agricultural sector is a very important industry for the economy. Could you talk us through what sectors specifically are hardest hit by this continued load shedding and will continue to feel that brunt of the rising electricity prices? Are there specific sectors within the agricultural industry that will feel the brunt the most?
Yes, I think the whole sector, that is the poultry. You can see the Nandos and all these things are not coping with supplying food. The piggery, the dairy, the fruits. The fruit is amongst the biggest source of GDP in this country. And if you check now, how are they going to cope in exporting, in preparing, in harvesting? All those things are affected. And if you check, all the abattoirs in the country are actually not even coping with this. Because if you put 6 hours without electricity a day, what are you expecting? And all this affects, again, the issue of unemployment. It becoming more, it increases on daily basis. And crime is also increasing because people are taking advantage of this load shedding. And I don't know whether government can realize that this load shedding is bringing a lot of problems around the industry of agriculture.
Now, Pitso, you touched on, crime being some of the issues that this bring along. Let's talk about that issue that certainly adds salt to the wound, that added security risk, particularly in rural communities. This must be detrimental for small-scale farmers.
They can't survive. They can't survive. And if the government can't do something in terms of subsidizing this problem of electricity, of energy to the industry, a lot of people are just going to lose jobs in the rural. And when they lose jobs in rural areas, all those people are going to go to the cities and they are going just to bring problems. And the cities can't cope. The South African cities can't cope So we, from the rural areas, from the farming community, we are helping a lot to give people employment. But if all these things are happening the way they are happening, and the load shedding together with the increase of electricity, no one is going to cope.
And Pitso, in just under 30 seconds, you've obviously mentioned the intervention of government perhaps considering subsidizing, the agricultural sector when it comes to those costs of load shedding and increased prices. Are there any other ideas that you have that you think government should put on the table for the sector?
If government can give ESCOM close to about 200 to 300 billion within this 5 to 3 years, what stops government to give us 10 billion as agriculture to actually encourage us to employ people at rural areas, to increase production, and also to subsidize our input costs, to really subsidize our input costs? This would actually help, because without subsidy of the insurance, subsidy of the input cost, subsidy of the labor to encourage us to employ more people in agriculture, that would actually help us. And these are the things that we want to talk to the government about, the issue of subsidy. There's no country in this world that can survive without subsidy and competing with the world economy without subsidy. The whole world, the Europe, are being subsidized. The farmers are being told, given money almost year in, year out. US, China is doing so much for farmers. Yeah. India was actually blocked by farmers some 2-3 months ago, last year. You can see the impact of agriculture in the country. It's very big. And here, there's no serious discussion about agriculture.
Thank you, Peter. We'll have to leave it there for this evening. Thank you so much for your time.